I'm Sarah,
And I'm Dawn.
and we got to be back by dark.
Yeah, we do.
All right, so this time we decided we wanted to be spooky and do a local-ish monster.
Hometown cryptid.
That's right, we're going to stick in West Virginia this time.
I don't know if I'd call this one a cryptid.
Well, we don't know. Is it a cryptid? Is it a alien?
I say alien.
Alien?
Yeah. We'll have to tell the story and see what everybody else thinks.
Well, we're going all the way to Braxton County in West Virginia.
Have you ever been there?
I feel like I've probably driven through it, because we've driven through a whole lot of different areas in West Virginia.
True.
Either going to the beach or going to the mountains to go camping.
Well, I haven't seen anything about Braxxy.
No.
I'm sure I've seen Braxton County road signs.
Yeah, we haven't gone through Flatwoods. But yeah, we're going to talk about Flatwoods, West Virginia, September 12th, 1952. Way back when. This is the Flatwoods Monster, also known as the Braxton County Monster, Braxxy, the Flatwoods Phantom, the Frametown Monster. West Virginia folklore is incredibly varied in that it includes monsters and aliens, cryptids, and ghosts. Some of the bigger names that can be included are the Mothman, of course, the Flatwoods Monster, Bigfoot, Skinwalkers, and even the Yeti.
What?
Yes, the Yeti. Now, one can only hazard a guess as to who saw a Yeti in North America, seeing as how I personally have only heard about these things as being native to Asia. Like, I thought they were Tibet.
We don't have a Yeti. I don't know who said that. I disagree.
Oh, me too, but I don't know, man. I know we do have panthers.
Yeah.
I know that's not a mythological creature, but still, you don't hear about panthers and...
We don't have a Yeti, but we do have cats.
Yes, we do. Well, West Virginia is the only state that is entirely in the Appalachian Mountains.
Correct.
And West Virginia also claims some of the oldest mountains in the world, which is the Appalachian Mountains. Definitely 100% the oldest in the country, which people out west are like, yeah, but the Rocky Mountains are so tall. Yeah, because they're young. Our mountains are old.
Yeah, used to be part of Scotland.
Yes, once part of Scotland. But when it was the Ice Age, it was the only part of North America that was not covered in ice. Everything else was under glaciers and feet of tundra.
We need to just do an episode on Appalachian Mountain because I could go on and we just said the first sentence.
Yeah.
'Cause,
yeah. And we're not even focusing on the mountains themselves.
Yeah. Well, I was because you said during the Ice Age.
Yeah, no, I meant the story.
Right. Oh, yeah. But during the Ice Age, most of the places that have any foliage whatsoever in the United States, at least, come from Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
And like in Appalachia, there's, I want to say like 30 different species per very few square feet.
Yeah.
Whereas somewhere else in a western state has like 3.
Yeah, we are very diversified in our plant life.
Yeah, but that's not what this is about.
No. There are things people don't realize are real. Like, they always say, yeah, Bigfoot, that's out in like Oregon and Washington State because the Pacific Northwest is so dense. Y'all ain't got nothing on the Appalachian Mountains.
No.
They're so old that even locals will tell of sounds that can be heard in the forest throughout the day as well as into the night. People will tell of sounds and that they were told by their grandmothers to never follow sounds in order to find out what they are and to never whistle when out hiking in the mountains. There are many mysteries that still abound in them thar hills.
Did you hear that?
No, you didn't. Somebody call your name?
No. You didn't hear a thing.
You don't whistle. You don't. Now, I love camping. I want to go backpacking. But you don't go out in the woods by yourself at night. This isn't a horror movie.
There won't be any whistling while you work.
No. You can sing. You can talk. You can yodel. Don't whistle.
No.
One such legend has been defining this tiny village of Flatwoods, West Virginia, with a population of less than 300 people for more than 60 years.
And that does tie into the mountains because that's why.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so unforgiving. People can't really stay established there.
Yeah, hardy folks only.
Yeah.
Okay, on September 12th, 1952, at dusk, around 7:15, Freddie and Ed May, aged 12 and 13, were playing in the local schoolyard with their friend Tommy Heyer, aged 10, when they noticed a pulsing red light streaking across the sky and then crash into a nearby farm owned by one G. Bailey Fisher. The boys ran to get the Mays' mother, Kathleen, so that they could go check it out. The group was soon joined by a few other boys, Neil Nunley and Ronnie Shaver, as well as a 17-year-old West Virginia National Guardsman, Gene Lemon, who lived around there, joined them along with his dog, Ricky, to investigate the sound.
Wonder what kind of dog Ricky was.
I don't know. I thought about that too. In my head, I see a black and white mutt.
Okay.
Mixed with like maybe a border collie or something.
You see your dog.
Yes. Ricky, of course, ran ahead out of sight of the group, barking only to quickly return with his tail tucked firmly between his legs.
Oh no.
Yeah, poor little puppy. The group continued onward for approximately a quarter mile. They soon reached the top of the hill, where they reported to see a large, pulsing ball of fire about 50 feet ahead of where they had stopped. They were also reported seeing and smelling a mist that made their eyes and noses to burn, later stating they were nauseated, which also persisted for days afterwards.
Sounds like COVID.
Yeah, 80 years ahead.
Aliens brought it.
Yes. Well, many at that time believed that these were side effects of hysteria. However, there are also telltale signs of mustard gas exposure, thoughts drifting to other chemicals or sulfurs as well.
Okay.
Now, mustard gas was a chemical agent first used during the First World War. According to the CDC website concerning chemical emergencies, side effects can include damage to eyes, throat, lungs, as well as your skin. It burns on contact, often causing blisters that ooze yellow fluid. Usually effects are not felt immediately, often taking up to 24 to 48 hours before showing any sort of signs or symptoms. Mustard gas can often smell of garlic, onion, mustard, or have no smell at all. So,
constipation or diarrhea.
exactly. It also states that one should immediately seek medical help and strip down. Strip any and all clothing that was exposed, as well as washing your whole body. But don't scrub, because then it could, that abrades your skin.
I was just going to say, no wonder they compared it to hysteria.
Yeah.
You're just stripping your clothes off running. Yeah.
Mustard gas also tends to stay near the ground, as its composure is more dense than the air surrounding it. At this time, the fear of chemicals being used on the public by foreign agents was at an all-time high.
True.
Yeah, let's ignore that the government might do it.
Yeah.
Gene stated that he aimed the flashlight he was holding in that direction and momentarily saw a tall, man-like figure with a round, red face surrounded by a pointed, hood-like shape. According to the story, the figure proceeded to make a hissing sound while silently gliding towards the group. Gene screamed, dropping the flashlight, at which point the group ran for it. Mrs. May even got oil on her dress, which she kept, and then when the government officials came to investigate, they took the dress. When they left, they stated that they would be back, but they never came back.
I still have her dress.
Mm-hmm. The local sheriff and a deputy had been out investigating reports of suspected crashed aircraft in the area. Curious. The same time that they saw that, there were reports sent into the cops that there was an aircraft down.
Yeah, and that they didn't have cell phones. Nobody was texting somebody down the street.
Right. The officers said that they saw, heard, and smelled nothing when they went out to the area to look around. However, other reports state that a sickening metallic smell, 2 large skid marks, and trampled grass were found by the officers. A reporter claimed to have discovered skid marks in the field and an odd gummy deposit. This was later attributed as evidence of a saucer landing by UFO enthusiast groups. This, of course, made the local radio and papers. Mrs. May and Gene ended up going all the way to New York to appear on CBS. Gene stated that he saw a 10 to 12 foot monster with a blood-red body and a green face that seemed to glow. Maybe having twisted claws for hands, but hard to tell due to the dense mist all around.
Of course.
Well, these things never happen in clear daylight, broad daylight, full moon, no cloud cover. There's always mist or shadow.
These aliens like the dramatic effect.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? The creature appeared as if to levitate off the ground, not rustling the foliage as it moved.
That's difficult to do.
Initial reports listed this entity as to being 10 to 12 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and appeared to have a cowl in the shape of an ace of spades, as in playing cards, behind a red, round head. The creature's eyes appeared to be the size of $half, set into the being's head. The eyes were often described as two portholes that seemed to be glowing green-orange. The body section of this being was reported to be made up of metallic armored structure lined with thick vertical pipes. There are discrepancies in what color the armor actually was. Some reports claim that it was black, while others insist that the armor was actually green in color. Some believe that the color of the grass and the ship was reflecting off the metal suit that the monster was wearing. It was metallic and just shiny, yeah. Whether or not the creature had arms is also under debate. Most claim that it was completely armless, while others state that it had small, toy-like arms.
A T-Rex.
This all took place during the height of the Cold War, as well as McCarthyism, when fear of foreign agents, as well as an atomic bomb being launched by the Soviet Union, was at the forefront of every person's mind. The reports made it all the way to Washington, D.C., to the U.S. Air Force. Now, those younger, Soviet Union was Russia and half of Germany and a bunch of all the little countries that end with Stan, along with Ukraine and a couple others. And it ended around the early 90s. At this time, the government had already opened a new division, calling it Project Blue Book, in order to investigate these sort of happenings, including UFOs and monsters. A really good show.
Project Blue Book?
Yes. Very, very good show. If you ever watched Game of Thrones, it's got the guy who played Littlefinger in it. But completely different character, but same actor.
Is Rob Lowe in it?
In Blue Book?
Mm-hmm.
No, you watched Blue Book.
I know. I see Rob Lowe.
No. Vampire Diaries, last couple seasons. The guy that was with Bonnie.
Vampire Bill.
Vampire Bill? That is not Vampire Diaries. It's True Blood.
No.
Rob Lowe's not in it either.
This is a lost cause. Mm-hmm.
The Air Force investigation claimed that it was all a bunch of hogwash. I really want to say a bunch of hogwash.
Say it. Say it till you're happy.
They concluded that the only thing that was seen that night included bright, common meteors that had streaked across the sky that had been seen as far away as Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, well, who's to say it wasn't both?
Yeah.
There might have been meteors. It might have been other ships. The monster, they said, was probably nothing more than an owl in the trees.
Yeah, unless they were the ones in the woods that saw it, they wouldn't be saying that. They'd be scared too.
I'm sorry, but anybody who grows up in the country, you know what an owl looks like.
Who?
You know what an owl sounds like. Shut up. You know what an owl looks like. You know what they sound like. After investigating the case in 2000, Joe Nickel of the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry concluded that the pulsating red light was likely an aircraft navigation or hazard beacon, agreeing with the Air Force in regards to the light being a meteor and that the creature described was most likely a barn owl.
No, it would have been looking at Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, right. How many likes to the middle of a Tootsie Pop? Believing that the foliage beneath said owl might have created an illusion of the lower portions of the creature, described as if a pleated green skirt. Yeah. Again, we have many, many types of different species of trees.
Yes.
But the only tree I can think of and picture in my mind that would have that kind of base, they're like in South America and India.
They're with the Yeti.
They are. They're with the Yeti. That's right. There you go. There you go. We solved the mystery. Researchers also believed that the inability of any agreement between the witnesses on the existence of arms on the creature, mixed in with the report of small claw-like hands extending in front of it, also matched the description of a barn owl with its talons gripping onto a tree branch.
Which these kids probably saw all the time. So why would this be alarming?
It wouldn't be proportional. 3 feet? 2 feet? The claws from the head of the owl?
Yeah, that's why they were small toy-like arms.
Yeah, but that would be like your arms coming out of your neck.
Well.
According to Robert Hopt, I'm not going to say that name right.
You said all the letters.
Yeah, Hopt. According to Ryan Hopt, even local Max Lockard admitted to driving around the site hoping to see something in his Chevy truck, believing that any oil residue and bits of a rubbery substance they found are more than likely a result of his truck and not any creature from outer space. Duh.
Duh.
Just a good old boy.
Who was out there looking?
I mean, he's a good old boy. That's what they do.
Just saying, if people are so eager to believe that it was an owl in a tree, then why are they all out taking their own gander, trying to solve a mystery?
He believes that the heightened state of anxiety running rampant in the country at the time impacted the perceptions of those who say to have been witness to these events. Okay. I mean, I get it. After the events, investigators associated with civilian saucer investigations collected a number of accounts from those who claimed to have similar experiences, including one that happened a week prior to the events in Flatwoods. A mother and her 21-year-old daughter, who seemed to have come into contact with such, affecting the daughter so intensely that she was confined to a hospital for 3 weeks. Also included was the account of the mother of a local farmer stating that at approximately the same time as the incident, her house violently shook and her radio cut out for 45 minutes.
These are women. They don't know what they're talking about.
It's also the early 50s in a rural area. They don't have TV to watch, more than likely. So the radio is constantly on, music, programming, news. It's not like they didn't pay attention to how long it was out.
True.
Like, they needed that for everything. Whether she was sitting in her TV room or in the kitchen cooking or doing dishes or anything, that radio was on.
Most likely.
So she's definitely going to specify that her radio was out.
And things were scheduled, like different things that you listen to, shows on the radio. You could expect it to air at a certain time of the day. Yeah. So that's also probably why she knew exactly how long it was out, because she missed her show.
How dare they? Also included was a report from the director of the local board of education.
Oh, somebody knows what they're talking about here.
Claimed to have seen a flying saucer taking off at 6:30 a.m. on the morning of September 13th, the morning following the boys witnessing the fireball. You know, the boys, all they saw was a hoot owl. Apparently, the U.S. government sent some men in black to their house who investigated the sighting, took down their witness reports, which apparently all of them were the same.
This is not the first mention, this is not the only mention of the men in black in West Virginia.
No. Well, we're too close to D.C.
Yeah.
Now, Mrs. May got some of the oil on her dress that night from the ship, and this is when they took the dress, claiming to return and never doing so.
Rude.
Yes, very rude. This was no Will Smith, Men in Black, so, they didn't have the little light thing to make her forget about it.
Yeah, she's still upset about this dress.
Yeah. Conspiracy theories on what really happened began to pop up as soon as the story gained traction. Some suggested that it was just a kid pulling a prank or, an owl. They tied it in with other stories around the country about the same time. Now, this was the age of the space race, so there was a lot of interest in interstellar crafts. This was the time of Roswell. This was the time of Sputnik, and things like that were really getting ready to take off.
And they never slowed down.
So it was very forefront in people's mind. This was also the height of the 1950s sci-fi movies. The original date that the Earth stood still. The Forbidden Planet. And yes, we're not even pretending that
I know these movies.
Yes. These are classic sci-fi movies. But it was a big deal. So maybe they were thinking, maybe it was just mass hysteria. Maybe it was fake. Maybe it was just made up. But to this day, those involved are very adamant. They saw what they saw. And I believe that they believe, what they say they saw. Now, what it was, I don't know. I wasn't there.
They say that about crazy people, too. They believe what they're saying as well. They don't know they're crazy.
Well, there's also the thing of reality is what you make of it.
Yeah, but in all reality, these kids were in these woods every day. And there's a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, a 17-year-old.
And their mother.
Not yet. They went and got her, right?
Before they went to investigate.
Well, my point is, in the 50s and 60s, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old boy are not running to their mother for much.
Right.
they're considered almost men.
True.
So I found that to make it a little bit more serious in my mind. Like there was something. I'm not saying, you know.
It's kind of like when we were growing up, you could trust a 14-year-old to watch your kids. Usually a 14-year-old girl. She could babysit for the evening.
Yeah, and also if we stopped our mother or grandmother to come see something that we thought we saw, we better have a good reason.
Yeah.
They're busy.
Nowadays, I wouldn't trust a 14, 15-year-old, even a girl, to babysit a kid unless she had taken classes.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I was 13, 14 watching other people's kids, and that was normal, and that was okay. Well, plus we were a little more responsible when we were that age. Gray Barker, a well-known UFO conspiracy theorist from West Virginia, had a part in boosting the national popularity of the monster story by telling the story in several of his publications. Barker was from rural Braxton County. He was born on a farm at Rifle, and he was one of the only 2 kids in his family to get a high school diploma and only one to go to college. I think he had ambitions to be a writer, but that doesn't work out for everyone, and in the end he became a writer courtesy of the Space Brothers and the Men in Black, said David Houchin, the Special Collections Librarian at the Clarksburg Library who maintains the Gray Barker UFO collection. In 1952, he was living in Clarksburg and working in businesses that had to do with film, distribution, filming of that kind of thing, and he heard about the Flatwoods incident. I imagine that he read about it in the newspaper. It was treated pretty confidently as a serious mystery for a short time. And he was familiar with Braxton County, and he was fond of the preternatural.
And if I can find it, I'll put it on the little slideshow video that plays on YouTube. But there are newspaper clippings.
Oh, yeah.
Even a drawing the kids drew of Braxxy.
Gray Barker went to Braxton County to interview people who knew about the Flatwoods monster incident. And the following year, he began his own publication called The Saucerian. The first issue was devoted to the Flatwoods monster. In 1956, he wrote up the story again in his book, They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers, which arguably introduced the idea of the Men in Black to alien conspiracy stories and became popular amongst UFO conspiracy theorists across the nation. And Barker worked it. He was not deeply troubled if something that wasn't true was being presented as fact. He was very permissive that way, explained Houchin. He did a lot to publicize it because they say he used it as his springboard to becoming a more or less respected UFO researcher out on the fringe. Today, the Flatwoods monster is only surpassed by the Mothman as West Virginia's most popular monster.
Mothman, number 1.
Well, yeah, nobody beats the Mothman, duh. Another sighting believed to be similar to the creature was reported in Heaters, West Virginia, by Miss Audra Harper, predating the sighting in Flatwoods on Mr. Fisher's farm. Miss Harper claims to have seen the creature while out walking through the woods close to her home. All right, Heaters, West Virginia is about 5 miles north of the town of Flatwoods.
Mm-hmm.
So in that rural type of area, that's very close.
Yeah.
That's like next door.
That's down a piece.
Yeah, that ain't even down yonder. That's just
piece.
Yeah. She and a friend were walking to a store nearby. The duo had decided to take a shortcut through the woods due to the road being so rutted. About half a mile down the way, they noticed a ball of fire on one of the hills ahead. At first, she dismissed it as one of her neighbors was fox chasing, kind of like fox hunting.
Uh-huh.
After passing by, she looked back and was astounded to find that the fire had vanished from the sight, and in its place was the silhouette of a man-shaped figure in its place.
That's creepy.
Yeah, understandably terrified, Harper and her friend booked it from the area, littered with rocks and boulders. On the 13th of September, the day following the Flatwoods monster sighting, yet another strange sighting was reported near Strange Creek.
Good place for it.
That's right. This is about 20 miles south of Flatwoods, near the town of Frametown, West Virginia.
So Heaters is 5 miles north, Strange Creek 20 miles south.
Yes. George and Edith Snitowski had their 18-month-old son with them and were driving through the rural area between the counties of Clay and Braxton on Route 4 when their car suddenly died, according to the report. Yeah, which that's terrifying because it's a rural road, so there's no street lights.
No street lights.
No street lights. Probably not a whole lot of houses. So not a lot of front porch lights shining out into the road.
Nope.
And it's the 50s, so there's not a lot of traffic. And their car just died. No cell phones, no OnStar, no SOS button on your car.
No one coming.
Mr. Snitowski was unable to get his car to restart, and this all happened at night, so of course it was terrifying, as I said. While trying to decide on a game plan, a foul, sulfurous smell filled the area around them, and of course the baby began to cry, which if it smelled like that, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, and probably catching vibes.
Yeah.
That something was wrong.
All of a sudden, a strange, bright light filled the darkness surrounding them, and they claimed to have seen a 10-foot tall creature hovering in front of their car. This description is so similar to the Flatwoods sighting, except that in this case, there was no spade-shaped hood. In its place was a reportedly reptilian and bony head. This time the creature was to have dragged its lizard-like hands across the hood of their car, before drifting off and away into the woods. The lizard people.
The lizard people.
No sooner was the creature out of sight, the Snitowski's car started right up, and they were able to speed away from the area, later reporting this account to the Mail magazine in 1955. The monster has not been reported to having been seen since the original happenings back in 1952, although many still visit in the hopes of catching even a glimpse of the green monster every year to this day. This incident was attributed to what is now called the Frametown Monster. To this day, the sign coming into town says, "Welcome to Flatwoods, home of the Green Monster."
Might as well capitalize.
Oh, yeah. The town also commemorates the legend with its annual Flatwood Days Festival. Today, you can visit the Flatwoods Monster Museum in the county seat of Sutton, West Virginia, as well as the local ice cream and sandwich place called The Spot, where you can order the Flatwoods Monster Burger and look at all the historic monster photos and news clippings that hang on the wall. The Braxton County Convention Center has also built a series of 5 tall chairs shaped like the monster around the county in order to serve as landmarks and visitor attractions. They also reward visitors who get photos of all 5 chairs with free Braxxy stickers. The Braxton County webpage gave the Flatwoods Monster its own tab below its Things to Do tab.
Braxxy locked away.
I don't know, man. I don't know why they would have free Braxxy stickers. The legend of the Flatwoods Monster has gone far beyond our little mountain home, showing up in places such as video games like Fallout 76 and Everybody's Golf 4.
Everybody's golf.
I guess, man. I don't know. I don't do video games.
It's a scary golf game.
There was even a documentary focusing on the subject, 2018's The Flatwoods Monster, A Legacy of Fear. The creature can even be found in memes and all around social media. All right, but my question is, if they thought it was mustard gas, where'd it come from? Mustard gas is not a naturally occurring chemical. It was man-made. So someone would have had to purposefully release it in the area. Yeah, so it makes one wonder if the Flatwoods Monster is neither an alien nor monster. Was there some sort of government testing being done on the fine inhabitants of West Virginia?
Usually.
Well, the United States government would never do that. That's unheard of.
Oh, my bad.
Right?
So sorry.
At some point in the not too distant future, I hope, we will definitely have to get into the Mothman.
Oh, we're getting in it.
Well, yeah, because it's West Virginia's most famous cryptid.
Yeah.
We are done discussing monsters of the non-human persuasion. About time to get back to the human variety of monster.
Really scary kind.
Yes, they are more scary that way. Yeah, I remember I was watching a show and they were saying that the most terrifying monsters are those that are human. Anything humans can dream up is far more scary and terrifying than anything an animal can do.
I would like to get into at least one cryptid or lore of each state.
Yeah.
And then we'll venture over to find the Yeti.
Yeah. Ooh, are we going to do the chupacabra?
Why wouldn't we? And a pukwudgie.
Yes. But if we are going to discuss the Mothman, we will also have to get into the Silver Bridge disaster that happened.
And the Men in Black again.
Well, yeah.
Entered Cold.
Yeah.
Land of Landalos. It's all in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in Mothman Prophecies.
Yes. And we won't even talk about Richard Gere.
We might.
And we'll also have to talk about some local to us stories that were handed down.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't love a good story that was told by somebody's grandma?
Yeah, our grandparents had no reservations about telling young children terrifying stories. We got to hear them.
Yes, that it might come and get us too if we didn't behave.
Yeah.
If we snuck out at night, it was going to get us.
Welcome to my panic disorder.
And people wonder why we're not normal.
The rules are different.
Well, duh.
When you grow up in Appalachia, a lot of these ghost stories just prove most of the rules that are supposed to be followed. Like if you see something, turn away. If you hear something that you didn't, don't whistle. And then after we tell our ghost stories, you'll see that a lot of them didn't listen to those.
Yep.
Don't talk to strangers or strange beings.
Truth. All right. Well, that's all we got this time. Sorry it's been a while. I've been sick.
Yeah, but you should still like and subscribe and comment because it pushes the channel, and it's not being pushed because, well, we just need to do more of them.
Yeah, at work I've already been told when's the next episode coming out. I'm waiting.
It's coming, Tanya.
That's how it was too. Love you. All right. Well, we love y'all.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.